All right, let me go.
Yeah, I'll make you the whole state. I don't know. It's just going to be a hard thing to do.
All right, we're live. Welcome, live from the Crossroads of America. A talk show about guns, politics, or anything else that crosses our mind. Answer questions from the audience, either in the chat or by email at rickslifeasIseeit@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. I have a Patreon page there too. Plus, I also have it's all down below there on YouTube. I even have a link there if you want to do a one-time payment to PayPal. So that's for your interest. Is that classed as e-begging? I don't know. But anyway, let's see who's in the chat. First was Mystic Guns. Then we got Jason Stewart, Rich White, Raphael, Sabrina. So they're starting to trickle in now. And in the panel here so far, we got New York Outcast. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Then we got the one and only Squibload.
Hey.
Good to see you. Then the man, the myth, the legend, Patriot in the Dark.
I think I'm going by Mr. Positive from now on.
Thanks
for having me, Rick. Appreciate it.
No problem. I'm sure. I'm hoping Kingpin will show up later. But anyway, what we were talking about before we went live was, where the president today, the headline I read was he's thinking about quarantine New York, parts of New Jersey, parts of Connecticut. How he's going to pull it off, I ain't figured that one out yet, and it hasn't said. The only thing I can think of is he has authorized the use of activating reserves. So maybe that's how he plans to have them, blocking every road out of the state. I don't know. But it's kind of
strange.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, do you know is that National Guard reserves, or National Guard, or is that Army reserves?
Well, I think it's Army because he gave the authorization to the head of the DOD. So I don't know. So, Midnight Range is here. So how you doing? Southpaw's here. So everybody's starting to trickle in. So, but what we were saying, like when I lived in Rhode Island, and I lived in a town called Westerly, it had during this time of year, there's 30,000 people living in that town. But when summertime came, it went up to 90,000 to 100,000 people. Most of the houses in that area, I would say 50% of them, at least 50% of them, sit empty during the wintertime because they belong to rich New Yorkers, especially people on the stock market, who can come up for the summer and do their job from a computer. They spend the whole summer up here, or the family spends it up here, and the husband works and only comes up at the weekends. Well, what we're saying is all these New Yorkers getting out of there. I mean, the hospital at Westerly couldn't handle an influx of, cases if it happened. I really don't think they could. So, it's a strange one. I mean, and also where I read the governor of Rhode Island told the police to pull over every car that has a New York plate on it. I don't think that's legal, even if she is the governor. But it's really a strange one.
New Yorkers are used to it.
Okay, Rich White says they would federalize the National Guard units from those states and their neighbors if it came down to that. There you go. Well, you could be quarantined there in New York. You won't be able to leave your state.
It's horrible, man. It sounds like I got a day for somebody to offer up their guest house so I can come infect it.
Yeah. Oh, Alabama governor. Southpaw said Alabama governor shutting down all non-essential businesses today at 5 p.m. Scheduled to reopen on April 18th. Now, does he list what are? I mean, is a gun store essential in Alabama? It should be. So, Vanessa Kitty's here. Grim 90's here. So,
I got something interesting I just read.
Yes.
Well, it actually started with Midnight's chat a while back. I listened to it in the reruns because he's way too late for me. But they were talking, I think it was Sarge, about the, calling up people that usually don't patrol or whatever, just so that they have kind of a system set up, because obviously if you get a call, you have to go, to these, whatever the situation, however they're called, to an incident or whatever. And so, they're in the face of a lot of people, and if they get sick, then they have to have somebody take their spot. I know there are some states or whatever that say, the violent crimes are the only thing that they're going to go after and stuff. But just the idea of that, because it really hit home, because I have two different neighbors that are state police right next to me. And I think it was yesterday, I had a township officer sitting on the corner of my yard, which is kind of an intersection. And, they're like, touch a lot of people, they're in contact with a lot of people. And the thing was that I guess the Detroit police, a fifth of their officers have been infected. They say there's about 39 of them, I believe. And then they said even the chief of police has it, and they actually had 2 deaths, in the department.
One of the deaths was a police captain.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think the last number I heard wasn't a percentage. It was like 152 officers. So I don't know if that's 2/3 of it. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
They're saying that they're saying not to worry. They're still going to make arrests, and it's kind of like, yeah, sure you will.
Well, it puts that in perspective as far as where you hear the stories where they're not going to arrest anybody and they're letting everybody out of the jails and stuff, which is out, is kind of a negative thing anyway. But when you hear that officers can't, pull you over for speeding, or they're going to try to avoid that kind of stuff, I mean, it hits home when you have, just people in contact where, they're out talking to people and whatever, and obviously they catch it or whatever. So there's a lot of people that have the, are infected or whatever, that don't show symptoms and stuff. And then the next thing you know, there's a lot of people that do. So, it's understandable why they don't want to pull over, somebody for jaywalking or something like that.
Well, there's a local cop who has a fairly large YouTube channel, and he put out a video, I think a week or two ago, and more or less said, look, right now, people are out of work. People are stressed out. People are scared, and we don't know how long this is going to go on. So I'm not saying that if you're speeding or jaywalking or something like that, you're automatically going to get a pass. And he said younger cops are more zealous. They're more likely to write everybody a ticket because they don't have the experience to understand about the interaction with the public. But he said, in my case, if I pull you over and you don't have anything on your record, I'm probably going to give you a pass, because right now you cannot afford this ticket and you don't need any more stress in your life. This is a public relations thing. This is the whole, not us versus them kind of thing that the cops do all the time. He said, but if I pull you over and you've got 15 warnings, I'm writing you a ticket. And he says, every time we give you a warning, it is in the computer. It shows up. We can tell how many times you've been given a warning. And I thought that was a very fair thing for him to say. Not because they're worried about getting a virus or something, but because in times like this, do you really need that? Now, what little bit of interaction I've had with the government here since this started, I can say that I haven't seen very much in the way that they're thinking about the residents of our state or of the local municipalities. I'd like to see more, but I have a feeling this is going to be like when the housing bubble popped and all these government people still had their jobs, they still had their pay, they still had their benefits, they still had their pension, they were still going to work every day, and none of us had a way to pay our bills, and they didn't care. The governor even raised the cost of vehicle registrations during that time to make more money because the state was losing so much money in income tax because nobody was working. And I don't trust our governor right now not to do things to generate revenue. I don't really think she's looking to incarcerate people because that's going to cost her money. But I think that your local police or your sheriff might give you a pass, but I don't think the state boys will because they work for a different boss.
The police in
And
my
I
area
haven't
love
talked
to
to
give
them.
you a ticket and then offer you a deal with a court fee and this and that, even though the ticket's usually crap half the time. But only maybe 5% of people fight tickets that I notice. I mean, I'm usually one that fights them, but
Yeah, I don't know
I've always won because they don't, it's usually just a crap ticket, but a lot of people just do pay them. So there could be revenue building that way. With a lot of petty stuff, so I'd keep an eye out for that.
Okay. Real quick, Vanessa Kitty said if the National Guard was federalized, they can't do police work on U.S. soil. Then she goes, Springfield, Massachusetts has National Guard called up to be police there because a lot of officers from city are being quarantined.
If they're federalized, they follow the orders of Donald Trump. If they're not federalized, they follow the orders of the governor in that state. So if the governor was asked to ask the Department of Defense to federalize any military, well, the National Guard, because the regular military don't answer to the governor, then he's forfeiting, or she is forfeiting their control over the National Guard.
Well,
you want to call the shots, you got to pay the bill.
Hey, according to Donald Trump, that your governor hasn't got a clue anyway. She's in over her head.
Oh, she is over here. She is an idiot. She's over here blaming everything on him, and she's. Look, I feel that my personal opinion is that she will not get reelected unless our economy rebounds. So she's playing with fire right now. If what she's doing actually works and it slows it down and we're able to deal with it, then she's going to be a hero. But so far, what I've seen, all she's doing is destroying the state. So, and I'm not saying that because she's a Democrat. I don't give a damn what letter's next to your name. I just want you to do the best job. Now, I could be wrong. In a month, we could see stuff be different. She can say, see, my executive orders, blah, blah, blah. But right now, everything that she's screwing up, she's blaming on the president. And it just pushing off the blame, it's showing her true colors.
I got a question. Not just from Michigan, but there's 350 million people in this country?
327 point something million, yeah.
Okay. All right, where's my thing here? As of right now, there's 116,448 cases in the United States out of 323 million. I don't understand why they're making such a big fuss out of it.
Because it'll kill you, Rick.
The flu will kill you.
That's right.
Pneumonia will kill you. A car crash will kill you.
No. When I say it'll kill,
it has to do with the economy as well.
When it'll kill you, Rick, it'll kill you. It won't kill me. It'll kill you. That's why they're doing this.
Hey, as I was saying in the morning chat, if the older generation like me dies, right, your Social Security is saved because there'll be money left in it.
Yeah, but they need your vote.
Yeah. There was a thing I heard that initial numbers that were supposedly in the UK and the US, where they said that in the UK they're looking at 500,000 deaths from this. That came from the Imperial College. I don't know the guy's name. He was the one that basically, started yelling about it, and everybody kind of goes back to his numbers. Well, they ended up, I guess he's just with, it's all through John Hopkins and some of the things that they're talking about. But anyways, that number, they've dropped down in the UK down to at the most 20,000. And he said that the numbers would probably be a lot less than that. And so the difference between that 500,000 and 20,000, there's a big difference. And obviously all the other, forecasts have to be adjusted, to those numbers, which I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but the 500,000 and the 20,000 I knew.
Okay, Patriot. So do you think that at the end of this year, they're going to look at how many deaths from influenza A and B and how many deaths from COVID-19 and compare them to determine whether or not we should take action next year then?
If they could actually figure out the difference between those two, that I don't know if they'll be able to.
Yeah, I'm not sure
those
either.
Numbers are obviously there's going to be signs, but that's something in the future that they have to figure out. Because like right now, do they know what the antibiotics or the antibodies and all that stuff that come from this? If you've passed it,
I was talking to my neighbor about this, and he had talked to his family doctor. He called his family doctor, and they said they're working on an antibody test. They don't have one. They expect to have one.
John Hopkins just put out. Actually, they put it in, submitted it, and it usually takes months or whatever for something to be tested by the FDA. They're supposed to be. It actually came back in 2 days instead of a couple months. But where if you have been infected and you've lived through it and you're recovered, I guess they were saying that if you go down and you donate plasma, and then they use that plasma for somebody that comes in that's infected and stuff, those antibodies or whatever they call them, antibodies, I guess, are in the platelets, and it actually has showed promise. And so they actually put that through, which I look at John Hopkins a bit more than I do, other people, obviously, because their whole history of pushing things forward. So that's something that's one of those little positive things you don't really hear, I guess.
Yeah. If the administration is really removing the red tape that has slowed everything down in the past, we're not going to have instant results. And I think the president is out there saying so many things are going to happen quick, and that's where he's trying to calm people down and keep the stock market from tanking anymore. But the reality is this stuff will happen faster than it ordinarily would, but it's not happening in days, weeks, and hours like he's saying. It's going to happen in weeks and months as opposed to months and years. Yeah. So I see what you're saying, and I'm hoping that the red tape that they've talked about they've removed will really fast track this, because I think that would be better to have available, hopefully by the end of the year, in order to get better statistical data on this.
Yeah.
The president has ordered General Motors to make ventilators.
You want to know why he had to order? Yeah. Do you want to know why he had to order them to do it?
Why?
Exactly.
Because there's no money in it. There's no money in it.
No money in it for General Motors.
General Motors is absolutely capable of making ventilators. During the war, even after World War II, they were still making stuff that wasn't typically cars. They've made all kinds of things. They've made refrigerators. They've made trains. They've made machine guns. They've made all kinds of stuff. And the other big car companies have done stuff too. Ford used to make Sidewinder missiles. Chrysler used to make rockets. These are all things that they are capable of doing, but you have to understand, these are contracts. These pay a lot of money per unit, and it lasts for years. If you are going to remodel a factory or build a factory, and you're only going to make stuff for 6 months, and you got to make it for a cheap price because the government's forcing you, you're going to find any way out of it. But if you've got a contract that says you're going to keep this building open for 5 or 10 years, yeah, you'll take it. Or if you're only doing it for 6 months, but you're making a massive profit off of each unit, sure, it's worth it.
Yeah, but
the amount of time it's going to take, the amount of money it's going to take to remodel it. Now, GM was talking about taking an empty factory in Indiana. That would be an easy way to do it. But if they actually shut down a car plant where they're making money and put the car plant out of business to redo ventilators, it's costing them tens of millions of dollars. Huh?
They're using the one in Indiana.
Right, which was a vacant building, which that is easier than, let's say they shut down the plant where they're making, vehicles that they're making.
I understand what you're saying, but all the parts are available because they use them in cars.
Don't believe all that. Okay.
Yeah,
Once again,
that's
this is Channel 7 Action News running their mouth about something they don't know about. Yes, some parts might be usable or interchangeable, or you're able to modify. But even making a change to a tool, let's say they were able to use it, but they got to cut it down 2 inches. You go, well, that's easy. It'll take weeks to change the tooling just to cut a part down a couple inches. And it sounds absolutely stupid, but that's the way it really works. Or now they've got to make it, and it's got to be a clean room. So now they've got to sterilize the entire building. They've got to coat the walls and floors with something special. They've got to have a special ventilation. Everybody's got to wear PPE. You've got to retrain the people on how to do stuff because you have to keep all these parts sterile. So there's a lot there. I mean, and I could just go on and on about all the things it's going to take. It's not impossible, but you got to look. During World War II, they more or less said you can't buy cars anymore. So the auto plants were shut, but they're like, hey, we'll give you this contract for 5 years for tanks. And they're like, cool, we'll make tanks. This isn't that sort of thing. In 6 months, they're not going to be ordering more ventilators. We might be selling them overseas and doing this and doing that. But by the end of the year, ventilators, they probably won't be. I mean, honestly, how many ventilators can the entire world possibly use? You know what I mean? It's just, you don't have room for them. You might be able to get 30,000 ventilators. You're going to fit them all in one hospital? No. You know, so I'm just saying, it's not impossible. But if you're going to tell these people, we're going to cost you more money than what you're going to make, they'll close their doors before they do it.
Yeah, well, they've been ordered to do it, so they got to do it now, haven't they? You know?
Yeah, they've been ordered to do it, but I mean, they can always drag their feet. They can drag their feet on it too.
True. I know, but hell. But back to yes, I mean that's why the president is thinking of quarantine in New York, parts of New Jersey and Connecticut, because the hospitals. I mean, the further it goes out, the more hospitals aren't going to be able to cope with it.
well, you have companies that already make that stuff, you know, and so to change somebody that doesn't do that or has, you know, a percentage that they have to change and modify before they can do something. I mean, it's obviously you want the people that make that stuff, that are good at it, that know the tips and the tricks and all the ins and outs of something. You know, I mean, you can have a whole bunch of people, you know, do something that they're not accustomed to, but you know, hopefully you can get the people that do that to, you know, increase their workforce so that they have the people that tell them how to do it right and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, see, I mean, it would be easier for a ventilator company to ramp up production than it would be to turn a car plant into a ventilator plant. Well, here's another thing. So I was reading about one of the distilleries that wants to make hand sanitizer. This is entirely possible to do, but they're having trouble getting stuff like the aloe vera and stuff that goes in it. They can make the alcohol all day long, but the other ingredients to make the gel, they're having trouble sourcing that. And then what's even worse, they're having trouble sourcing plastic bottles to put it in. So it's like, great, we can make alcohol that's above 60% all day long, but everything else we need, we can't get. So I think that stuff will happen too, but how many of them will stick to doing that unless they're going to be selling it side by side with their liquor? They're going to go where the money is.
Yeah, and there's other companies that, you know, that can obviously work together with them. I mean, like Otis does the little bottles. I just got a notification that they're talking about working with some of the distilleries.
So the way you're talking then, Squib, is let's reopen some of the country by Easter ain't going to happen.
You know, I don't know. The thing about that is, if he says it, the stock market goes up. So he's trying to save people from losing money. But if Easter comes and goes and we're still shut down, the stock market's going to crash really bad. I don't know. I've heard some people say, let's just reopen and let's all take our chances. But then you're going to have somebody I'll give you a great example. I was talking to my wife about this. I said, what if they let the kids back in school on the 14th and one kid in Michigan comes down with COVID-19 by going to a public school? They're able to backtrack it to or a whole school gets it. There's going to be hell to pay. So what do? What do you really do?
True. I know. It's a gamble. It's a gamble. I mean,
they could. Sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say they could. Go ahead.
I mean, Trump said Easter, but it's not a fixed date. It's going to happen on that date no matter what. I mean, he could back it up, you know.
He said that he would like it to. He didn't say
Yes.
if we are going to do this. He just said it would. Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah, I mean that's what he's trying
That's
to get
showing
everybody to
optimism,
do,
not
but it doesn't. He's not guaranteed it's going to happen, and it all depends if GM drags its feet and all this kind of stuff.
Well, no, because just because we have ventilators it's not going to amount to a hill of beans in this. I mean, that's not the.
That's what Cuomo's screaming about.
Yeah, well, Cuomo's an idiot. So ventilators are not the solution. Ventilators are not the solution.
I know. A vaccine is the solution.
They're not the solution, but they're way under what's needed.
But what's that other thing I saw where
what he requested, he got way less of, and the predictions that were given, they're spiking a lot higher than that here in New York. So basically, even what he requested prior is not adequate.
I think it's good that we're going to make some of this stuff in America and sell it to all these countries overseas that don't have the industrial capacity we do, or the interest, or they just plain don't make that stuff. I think it's going to help our economy, but it's just not a long-term thing. I think eventually production will taper off, because this is something that once you meet a certain demand, it's okay. We filled our orders. Now we just need to, unless we come up with a new model, new and improved that everybody wants. It's just so. I think pharmaceuticals is one of the ways that we can rebuild America as far as financially, plus for our security. Let's get rid of all these, having to buy our antibiotics from China. Are we nuts? So while we're making vaccines, we could be making, antibiotics and everything else here. You might have to pay a little bit more, but we don't have to worry about running out of stuff. And it would put Americans maybe back to work that could use the work, or it could help, pay this tax bill that we're going to be paying in a couple of years for all these stimulus, because I don't think one stimulus bill is gonna do it this year.
Yeah, Kingpin said
mention
ventilators barely keep people alive. They are for people that are about to die, not for sick people's treatment.
Can I mention a quote? I don't know who said it, but it was really interesting, and it's something to keep in the back of your mind, right? They say that the disaster at Chernobyl was the end of, kind of significant, or showed the end of the Soviet Union. So let's just think about this China virus here.
Well, the end of China?
Ventilators are actually...
Are you saying the end of the United States?
No, we didn't make it. It's a China virus, not the U.S. virus.
You can't say China virus on YouTube anymore, I don't think.
No.
So you're going to get me struck
ventilators.
off.
Ventilators are actually used for a lot of procedures after surgery when you're on anesthetic.
Yeah, they were saying that the same kind of ventilator... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. I was just stating that they are more commonly used probably than just major, end of life care or things like that. So healthy people get put on them after surgeries all the time for a period of time.
They were saying the ventilators that you'd have in a dentist office when they anesthetize you for oral surgery could be modified to be used in a hospital for the purposes of trying to keep somebody alive so they survive this. So that would justify them saying elective surgeries, because it's the thing, you can't go get a new pair of glasses right now, you can't get your teeth pulled, and I'm like, what does the dentist office or the optometrist have to do with the hospital? It doesn't. But if you're going to take a ventilator from a dentist office and put it in a hospital for the next 6 months, and it's going to save somebody's life, maybe, okay, sure. So I think it's a lot that has to do with what are we doing that's actually making a difference? What are we doing that's hurting the economy, but it's worth it if it saves lives? But if we're hurting the economy and it's not saving lives, then we're just hurting ourselves. Like he said, the cure, or the cure could be worse than the disease, or however Trump said it, that if we just shut the country down, it could be worse than if we take our chances. But on the other hand, we're trying not to take our chances. So it's really difficult to see our country come together collectively and everybody do the right thing, because it's all me, 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 me. And you see a little bit here, you see a little bit there. And I really don't care if a company makes money off of this. I really don't, as long as they're not price gouging, or as long as they're not the ones who created this or something like that. Otherwise, this sort of thing happens. It's like during war. Are you going to protest the ammunition manufacturers because they're selling more ammo to the government? No, it's their job. So I don't know about the country really coming together the way that you hear in these daily news conferences. I'd like to see it, but I've only seen a little bit of it. How's that?
Okay. All right. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Personally, myself, maybe because I live out here in the sticks. Last I knew, as of yesterday, I think we had 1,000 cases here in Indiana, and most of them. And there was only 2 cases in my county so far. That was yesterday, but that figure doubled overnight. It went from 500 to 1,000 overnight cases. But I don't know. But to me, I mean, I know I'm in that sort of percentile that will have trouble if I catch it. But to me, open things back up. I'm willing to take the chance personally. You know.
Now that's an interesting point of view. I did not expect to hear that.
I'd say run things maybe at 50%, but everybody wears a mask.
There ain't enough masks to go around.
I ain't wearing no damn mask.
Maybe
I ain't
not.
wearing a
But I
mask
just
either.
think that's how, it wouldn't be the first time in history. Like when you look at locking people down, or the issue of constitutional rights and all this, it's there's already precedent in the past of laws being ordered if you're in public to wear a mask. Back with the Spanish flu, police officers were stopping people that weren't, and there was actually quite a few shootings of people that refused to as they approached officers. So I'm not stating that's what should be going on, that it should be come down to death thing, but it would limit the spread to a more controllable amount. It's a compromise both ways, basically, but yet business still rolls on.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. But I put it this way: if they said you can go out, but you have to wear a mask, everything's back to normal. I'd be one of these guys. If I saw a police car, then I'll put it on. There ain't no police, it's like some people who don't wear a seatbelt, but when they see the cops, they try to snap it on real quick.
Yeah, if when I showed up to work, I was still getting my 40 hours and my benefits, but I had to wear a mask as part of my PPE at work. It'd be no different than them telling me to wear steel-toe shoes, safety glasses, whatever. We wear special gloves when we're handling the really hot parts of the machine. It would be, I would be totally fine with that if my company said, if you want to come back to work, you've got to wear this mask, but they have to provide it. And, that's, hey, I'd rather have that than be on unemployment. But out in public or just living my life, that I don't, no.
Well, is it worse than being confined to your home?
I'm not confined to my home.
Right, you're not now, but potentially I will be tomorrow. Things like
You'll
that.
You'll be confined to your state, not your home. You'll be confined to your state.
All right. Well, on a grand scale, would it be what's more constitutional? That's the way I'm looking at it. Whereas when you confine people and limit their movements, you're pushing the constitutional boundaries.
You are, but once again,
asking somebody to wear a mask for the greater good. I mean, what's the harm in that?
They're already they're already doing that by more or less. They're destroying our economy in the name of the people that aren't as healthy. And I don't know. At first, when this was first starting to come out, I was thinking, all right, you know what? I think that the people that aren't. Well, I think the people.
As soon as Nike or iPhone made a mask, everybody would want it.
Well, yeah, that would sell masks. But just the people who aren't well, they should be the ones staying home. I'll gladly go to work. And we can just have the government pay the people who aren't well to stay home, bring them their food, their water, pay their utilities, have doctors make house calls, do whatever until we come up with a cure or a vaccine or something like that. But then that, that is a violation of civil liberties. And quite frankly, they've made special hours here at the stores. They open up first thing in the morning, an hour early. So if you're over the age of 60 and you come in the store, you get first dibs on what got restocked that night. You don't have to fight. Well, not really fight, but you get first dibs, right? So you could potentially have everybody over 60 visit the store between 7 and 8 in the morning and clean out all this stuff, that's a very, all the toilet paper or whatever, right? No, they're not doing that. You know what they're doing? They're shopping the same time I am. And it's like, dude, you are taking your life in your own hands. Why am I out of work because you failed to be responsible? So, I mean, I think if they ordered people to wear masks, people wouldn't do it because they're not observing social distancing. They're not taking advantage of these special times for them. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. But I also see other things coming out of this, like home delivery was getting to be real popular and curbside pickup. I think it's here to stay now. I think, if anything, home delivery and curbside pickup is going to become a lot more of the norm after this is over.
I don't know why home delivery is being popular, like as far as fast food and food production. I mean, I don't want to crap in anybody's parade, but with the information we have, how do you know the person that cooked it isn't sick? I mean, it makes no sense to me why you would trust somebody else with your food, but that's just me. I'm not touching anything that isn't sealed or packaged.
But no, I see where you're coming from. I mean, I thought cooking it would kill it.
It sucks because I've been craving my favorite pizza place, but I can't do it.
I would imagine cooking a pizza, if it was on the pizza, would kill it. But you still got it sitting on the box. If the guy
that made the box 2 days before or prepped the dough the day before. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Or even the guy who packages your meal that preps it for the door as it goes out, or guy or girl, whatever.
So do you think that cooking at home is going to be more popular when this is over, and it's going to take a while to trickle back into the, going out to eat thing?
It'd be a good thing. I think it'd be a good thing. I mean, maybe not economy-wise, but health-wise.
Not really.
Americans on a whole, we're not very dang healthy, though.
No, I mean, you go out shopping, right? And you say you're not going to eat anything that's not packed or in a box. How do you know that package and box wasn't stacked on that shelf or in that refrigerator by somebody who's infected? And you take it into your house.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
Goddamn cat just knocked over my camera.
It's all risk management, I guess. Limit, or mini-max. Limit the amount of risk. Minimize maximum regret. So basically, it's all risk management. Do the best you can. Nobody's going to be perfect. So, I mean, obviously, the professionals screwed up, and that's why we're in this place to begin with. So.
Well, I don't know. Asking everybody to move out to the country, have a garden, raise a couple critters to eat, and to butcher their own food and to can and jar and do. You're asking a lot from the average American that, is pop it out of a package and throw it in the microwave. I mean, I'm not saying I would be opposed to living like that. If the government was offering grants for people to move out of the city into the country and homestead, okay, as long as I can still commute to the city for a job, sure, I'd be willing to do some of that stuff. It's a little bit extra work, but man, fresh eggs every day? Heck yeah.
Well, preparing your own food is a lot different than becoming a homesteader or something. So, I'm just saying limit your risk. I think more people should spread out. It would be a big difference as far as pandemics and things like that. And it would make a lot more sense for people to be more sustainable in their area. With our delivery system, a bad storm somewhere, things get taken out, flood somewhere. It just makes more sense if things are more available instead of all coming from certain areas.
Now, see, you talk to somebody or you hear them interview somebody on TV about New York City, and I don't mean recently. I mean, just in general. Oh, I love the city, and I can do this, and I can do that, and I this, and I that, and blah, 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 blah. About how great it is being in a place where you can't even have a car because, or how expensive it is, or all these other things that are just foreign to somebody who's not from the city. Now they're all together in the city, and everybody's getting sick because they're all stacked on top of each other, and they want to get away. It's like, you chose to live here. It was so great a week ago, but now it ain't so great. I live in the county in Michigan with the most cases, and I'm not about to move or relocate or evacuate or anything else like that. I like living here at this point in my life. At another point in my life, I would like to live somewhere else, and that point in my life is coming up. But for right now, I'm okay with it because it's not too crowded, but it's not so rural that there's nothing here. I have all the conveniences here, but I'm not stacked on top of the person next to me either. I kind of have the best of both worlds, and I chose to live here, and I'm choosing to stay here, even though somebody could say, you live in the deadliest county in the... It's like, whatever. So these people trying to run away from a life they chose, once again, this is you failing to be responsible. You made this bed, lay in it. So it's just, it's the, I don't know. Some
That's
of
how
it,
I feel about the company bailout.
The biggest difference is we are free here in the U.S. and you can do whatever the heck you want to do. I can do whatever I want to do, and that's the big difference between, how they can control like this spreading, overseas and stuff. Those places might have more of a mentality to actually listen to follow directions from the government because of either they have to or it's just that's what they do, right? We don't. If somebody in power tells you to do something,
put a law in, then you can enforce the law. You know what I mean? Then it's justifiable to give you a fine and a warning the first time. $30 this time. If we catch you out again, it's 500. That's going to keep most people wearing a mask. I mean, I don't understand why it's an issue. I mean, are you all that self-confident that you can't wear a mask? I mean, it makes no sense to me.
dude, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm just not wearing a mask.
Yeah, well, that's on you. I'm just stating. I'm not stating it's like, I don't know. I don't see the big deal. You're willing to sit in your house.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, so last Tuesday in the morning, right before the governor did her 3-week stay-at-home order, there was a rumor going nuts from the day before and that morning that she's going to lock down the state, and she didn't. The word lockdown rolls off the tongue a lot easier than stay home, stay safe, which sounds absolutely stupid, by the way. But people in the morning were driving like maniacs. They were speeding. They were running red lights. Everybody was rushing to the stores, buying up everything they could because they thought they were literally going to be confined to their homes and they were not even going to have access to get food. So I went to one of the local stores, and I'm watching some of the people, and they're wearing masks or gloves or both. Now they're taking these gloves and they're touching all the food they're getting, and they're putting it in their shopping cart that they're pushing with their gloves. And they're pulling their mask down to have a conversation. They're rubbing their nose. They're rubbing their eyes with the gloves, okay? Then they're taking the groceries in the bags, and they're putting them in their car. They're touching the handle of the car they're touching their steering wheel with the gloves, and and I'm like, do you realize that this doesn't work like that? You use these things at the point that you are going to be in a hazardous situation, and then you dispose of them. You don't take the gloves that's supposed to be a barrier between you and the thing, and then touch everything that you're going to put in your car, put in your house, open up later and eat. It does nothing.
All that's true, but it's still going to help limit. If somebody's coughing or sneezing, it's not blowing everywhere. I mean, look through your YouTube. You're going to see healthcare professionals holding their mask with their hands. The guys at the testing sites rubbing their masks or playing with shit. People are dumbasses. That's what they do.
It's a feel-good method.
It's going to help mitigate the exposure.
It's a feel-good method.
That's all it is. It slows down so we don't.
Do you have to raise your hand to talk in class?
Depends what type of class. Here, you just got to jump in where you can.
You were going to say something.
No, it's all right. It's quite all right. Let them go. Let them carry on. I mean, somebody made a suggestion. I think it was Southpaw. He said, I mean, there's a shortage of masks anyway. So why don't you, I mean, as you said, all you're trying to do is, like you said, if you got a cough or something, you don't want it to spread out.
We went to the grocery store today, and we saw one of these plexiglass shields they were talking about on TV this week.
Yeah.
In our little rinky-dink corner grocery store, the mom and pop store where they're all nice and everything else. Today they weren't nice. And they had the piece of plexiglass. Now you put stuff on the conveyor and you've got line of sight to the cashier. If I wanted to sneeze on the cashier, I could. You go around the other side of the plexiglass to bag your own stuff, because we had to bag our own stuff because we brought in our own bags. We don't use plastic, we use reuse. And they said, if you want to use your reusable bags, you have to do it yourself. And I'm like, what the hell is this, right? Once again, I could still sneeze on them. I could have sneezed on every can and bottle that we bought in the store, rubbed all over them with my filthy hands, put them on the conveyor, spread them all over the conveyor, and this person who has to run them over the scanner and put them over there for me to bag has touched them.
Yep, and you'd be arrested for terrorism.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about intentionally doing it where these people are, but what I'm saying is, did it really stop anything? It didn't stop a damn thing. We took a risk going out to buy a handful of essentials today. And I'm not going to live my life in fear to say I can't, so really it was a feel-good measure. I'm not saying you shouldn't do anything. There are tons of people that live nasty. They keep saying wash your hands over and over again. There are people who never wash their hands and never will. Never will. I wash my hands, but I also understand that I can't stop everything. One of the reasons I think I hardly ever get sick is because I constantly wash my hands.
And you talk too much and it just blows it all out.
It does. But I don't.
Can I mention a nice positive thing? If people are sitting home and they got their kids around and you're not letting them play on Xbox for 24 hours a day, Jo-Ann Fabrics, there's a bunch of them out there, have put out, the designs and what kind of cloth and what kind of things to use to make masks. That might be some kind of bonding time that you and your kid, or, you can teach your, 14-year-old boy how to sew, because, he won't have to rely on somebody else to do it when he grows up, to make masks, and you can donate them, that kind of thing. Even if you don't want to do that, there's a lot of things that you could be spending your time. There's that free college stuff, where you can take classes, do something for yourself. And, one thing I found today, which I thought was the best thing ever, the official Body by Jake. You old guys probably know who Body by Jake is. I found him. He's on Instagram. He's doing these little things with his kids. He's started way back in the early 80s or late 70s. The first guy to do bodybuilding and personal training ever, right? And so he did the thing on TV. Anyways, he's got these short clips, things to use: a towel, a broom, and a chair, how to keep healthy. And so when you're locked in your apartment in New York and you only have, everything within reach.
How do you know he's in good shape, Patriot?
He is Body by Jake. You never
Did you see him?
I have seen him a million times back in the
That's
old days. But he's an old guy. He's been doing it for 40 years, and everybody knows Body by Jake. But anyways, he's on Instagram. He's got short little clips on how to, use just things and to stay positive. He's one of these positive guys. So do it.
Well, okay.
Don't give up.
Hey, worst thing comes to you use a bandana like the old cowboys did, if you don't want to cough on people. Because as somebody said in here, I think it's Rich said, a mask doesn't protect you; it protects others from you breathing on them. Mm-hmm. Anyway, got a question here for the panel. It wants to know. This is from Kingpin. Exactly how many weeks they can go with zero work and zero resources. Who wants to go first?
With zero, like getting resources from outside, you mean? Just from what I have on at home? I think that's probably what he means.
He goes, ask the panel exactly how many weeks they can go with zero work and zero resources.
Okay.
That, I guess that means,
yeah, without going
down and you
like
can't
a personal individual level.
Yeah, I could last probably a month and a half to 2 months without having to. I wouldn't have obviously fresh vegetables, but everything else I'm pretty well squared away.
Oh yeah.
But I'm different because I'm nuts and I'm a ninja. So, and I just say that to
Yeah.
bug squib. I only have a daughter,
Um,
so I don't have to put up with a spouse or anything. So I'm cool on that.
Yeah, Mystic Gun says she's using her kids as slaves. They're working in the yard and the fence. You know.
and
So,
myself, I could probably last longer than I think a lot of people, but I always had the state of mind to have backups of things and stock stuff in a sense. So when it comes to food, at least
well,
probably 70% of my food is food I've already had before this is even an issue, besides like milk or things like that. And as far as work, I'd have to move because I can, people come to me half the time. So even throughout this, I'm still working. So it's just I'm working at home.
What about you, Squib? How long can you go before all hell breaks loose? You might have stepped out of the room for a minute. I know how long I can go. Maybe a day. I got nothing. Got no backup. You know. But I mean, I say a day. When I go shopping, I normally buy groceries for a month. You know, the stuff that keeps. Then the fresh stuff, like dairy products and meat and stuff. I'll buy enough when I do my initial monthly shopping. I'll buy enough for a week or 10 days. Then I'll go out and buy, some milk or some more meat or something like that I need. Vegetables. I mean, meat you can freeze, but vegetables and dairy products, I go out about every 7 to 10 days to buy some. Like right now, I can last maybe 7, 8 days right now. That's with food and money.
Hear that. I think
I get paid once a
you
month.
have it. Yeah, you have a different situation on a tighter income, but I think a lot of people really don't have an excuse. I think personally, I know this might upset people, but I think people are too concerned with keeping up with the Joneses and having a shiny car. And now everybody's crapping their pants because bills are due. If you don't make your payment, you might lose everything. Some banks are covering things, some aren't. Like, what's really important in life? Is it having a brand new vehicle or the most expensive phone and the shoes or whatever, the little bracelets, or is it being able to provide for your family? I think this is a hard reality with a lot of people, and that's why everybody's so happy to get free shit. The same people that wouldn't a month ago. But that's just my opinion. I'm not trying to gloat or anything, but there's different lifestyles. If you're dependent on a system, you're the system's bitch, just the way it goes.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, I'm going to change the subject slightly. I just want to inform the people here the old people that are on Social Security and you don't file income taxes because you don't earn enough. I double checked, and it's even written because what they're all saying is they're going to base it off 2018 or 2019 income tax returns is how everybody's going to get their money. But on Social Security, we get an SSA 1099, and it tells us stuff. But on here it says we send this information to the IRS. So all these this check we will be getting some money on the stimulus package. I just thought I'd just mention that to you guys. I don't know if we're going to get the full 1,200, but we're going to get some. So just wanted you guys to know that out there who might not think we would get it. Okay, next subject. How far do you think that House Bill 5717 is going to go? I don't personally. I think it's just going to sit there and die because I think it has too much in it, even for the anti-gunners to pass. Have you guys seen it?
I've heard a little. I think it's ridiculous. And
Oh
it
yeah, I
sounds
mean,
like almost the New York thing on steroids. So
yeah,
I think it's a heck of a coincidence, all the people that are a part of it. But
yeah.
I think if that bill passes, they're going to have some big problems.
I mean, there's one part of it where it says something about you got to be licensed to buy a gun, but you can't get licensed until you're trained. Right? But you can't go training unless you're licensed or some shit. I mean, there's no way to be able to do it the way they got it worded. You know, it's actually, I mean, what I've read of it, I mean, there's been some videos done on it, on what's in it. Guns and Gadgets did one and stuff, and it's I mean, it is asinine. I mean, it's got about 40, 50 pages. This damn thing is, you know, it's so bad.
It's ridiculous.
It's listed as chapters with subcategories. It's so big, you know. So I think I mean, you know, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. If it does, the Senate won't pass it. The Senate won't even pick it up. I don't think. You know, the only way an anti-gun bill I feel is going to get through. Damn, I got a fly in here. Shit, summer's coming. Sorry. I think the only way it's going to get through is if they do any more of these stimulus packets. The Dems might try to say you got to, you know, put one of these anti-gun bills in the package, you know, along with some of their other shit they're trying to put in here. But I don't know. I don't know. But on the other hand, some of these states are pulling some of these closing gun stores, and I mean, like New Jersey. Not only did they close gun stores, they've stopped the background check system too, and there's lawsuits being filed everywhere, California, New Jersey, and all this. And some of the, I mean, even a couple of governors have backed down after 2A people have got onto them, or 2A, like the National Sports Federation. I've been doing a lot of work on this to keep gun stores as essential for people to, you know, to be able to buy a firearm. Yeah. So.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
I got a question for you and all the cooks and the chefs out there. If they're out there. I opened a jar of sauerkraut, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't pop. You know, the lid didn't pop.
Yeah.
I threw it away, but I was just wondering, does sauerkraut go bad? Since it's got vinegar and stuff in it? It's kind of an odd question, but I had to throw a jar of sauerkraut out.
I think it does. Yes, it does.
Maybe get stale or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing. I didn't see any green stuff on it.
I mean, but I mean, that jar, if it's in a jar, it should be airtight.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I know the company Boar's Head makes a sauerkraut, and it's in a plastic bag. It's a sealed plastic bag. It's not it's not airtight in that bag. It's loose. But I think they give it a 2-week shelf life. You know? Then, of course, you can buy canned sauerkraut off a grocery shelf. But once it's open, how long does it last? A few days? So it does go off.
Yeah. I was I had bought a couple of jars, and somebody must have dropped the jar, and just the edge of the lid was dented, which obviously I didn't notice it. I opened it up and I was like, wait a minute, that didn't pop. So
yeah, Rich White even says sauerkraut will go bad if the seal is broken.
Okay. It was just weird because they used to. I mean, it's not like kimchi where they bury it underground, but I thought it was just always left out somewhere. I mean,
I've had kimchi. I wasn't that impressed.
Yeah.
One thing I couldn't try when I was a kid, when we lived in the Philippines, was I can't remember the name of the dish, boogaloo or something. It's like a duck egg or chicken egg that's got the bird's about ready to come out of the shell,
Yeah.
you know, and they cook it or something. You eat the damn. Oh God, I just couldn't handle that one. Didn't even try. You know. Let's see, two live moo. I have a crock pot full of sauerkraut and Polish sausage going since yesterday. Man, that sounds good.
That's actually what I was doing.
Yeah.
Did you do your award or your giveaway?
Oh, my prize? No, I ain't done that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's 4:00 already.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right. Let's see. Prize my swag pack for last week. The question was: the United Kingdom is made up of 4 countries. England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And I wanted to know which one of those issued firearms to their police force. And of course, it's Northern Ireland. It's actually the Police Service of Northern Ireland is the correct name. And they issue all police officers with Glock 17s, Glock 17 pistol, and allows its officers to carry their issued sidearm off duty. So there you go. That's the only police force in Britain that has full-time policemen with firearms. The rest of them don't. They're issued to them. And from what you got to remember, it's been over nearly 25 years since I lived in England. Oh, okay, yeah, it's balut or balut, I think is what it's called. Two Live Moose said it's a duck embryo. Yeah, that was it. God, damn disgusting. But anyway, we lost Squib again. Was I boring him again? So, no, I forgot what I was saying. From what I understand, and talking to my sister and stuff, and because my sister and brother Sue live in England, and what I'm going to gather is a lot of times now, the police departments or police stations, they have them. Almost every town has one. There's normally one police vehicle that has guns in it, like in the trunk of the or as they call it in England, the boot of the vehicle. And if there's a problem, like active shooter or whatever, this vehicle will turn up, then it will issue out firearms. But not all police in Britain can be issued a firearm because they have to be certified, trained to shoot a firearm. So they just can't hand it out to anybody. But anyway, that's just a little bit of history. So,
That sounds crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Depending on one vehicle, any decent crook would focus on delaying that one vehicle. That's a bad plan from the start, in my opinion.
Yeah. Anyway, the winner of my quiz. Now, believe it or not, that was such an easy question. I had a total of 3 entries. So you all got 33.3% chance of winning. So let me hit the button. And guess who the winner is? Patriot in the Dark.
No, I pass. I just wanted to win just to.
Okay,
Congratulations.
Okay. What? Congratulations. What I'm going to do, right? Let me get my thing here. Where's my chat? I lost my chat box. There it is. What I'm going to do with that, since he's passed on that, is for this week, it will be a double pack. It'll be the one from Patriot should have won, and the one I got made up for this week. So it'll be a double pack. So there we go. And this one I think this one's even easier than last week's. Right, you ready for this? Some of you gonna groan when you hear it. YouTuber James Yeager, from Tactical Response. All I want is for you to name the movies and TV shows he's been in. That's it. James Yeager from Tactical Response. He's got a YouTube channel. If some people don't know, I want to know what movies and TV shows he's been in. That's it. Email me at rickslifeasiseeit@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com by 12 noon next Saturday, Eastern Time. So there we go.
And for the record, he's never been in Golden Girls.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head that rings a bell.
Yeah, well, I can't say too much because hell, it'd be giving it away. But put it this way, put it this way, he's not the leading actor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the question. So have we got any more stuff? Let's see what I got on my list here. Oh, did you see the latest article that the NRA are laying people off? And the ones that aren't being laid off are taking a 20% up to a 20% pay cut. And the CEO, the CEO and senior vice president said he's going to take more than a 20% pay cut.
Gonna keep the student allowance though, huh?
Now, and also in Barna's article, his base pay, the latest they can find in his article was from 2018, and his base pay was $1.2 million, and by the end of the year with bonuses and everything else, he earned $2.2 million in 2018.
Crazy.
And he has driven the NRA into the ground. I mean, he needs to go. I mean, for anybody's info, my membership ran out. I've been a member for the last 4 years. It's been 4 years since I've been in guns, or 5. I can't remember now. I've lost track. I have to go back to my paperwork and see when I bought my first gun, and that'll give me an idea how long I've been a member of NRA. But what I was going to say is, it ended at the end of February, and I did not renew. Which hurt me actually. I'm not talking about the political side of the NRA. I'm talking about the other side who try to do good work. I mean, like example, in the gun club I belong to in Rhode Island, they gave them a grant of $1,200 for new steel targets and stuff to use, like for kids groups could come and learn to shoot and stuff like that. That's the NRA that I like, but I know my money wasn't going towards that anymore. I think it was going the other direction, and that's why I didn't do it. Plus, I think Wayne needs to go. I mean, that's another big reason why I haven't paid. But anyway, that's the latest news. But did you see that commercial they put out with that disabled lady in the wheelchair?
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Now
they're working every angle they can.
She, you can't say what she's saying wasn't a lie, but they put up quotes from Breitbart and stuff like this, who the anti-gunners think they are extreme right-winged organization, which would, that killed. You might as well said, the old saying, if you say but anything before that was a bunch of bullshit. So basically, as soon as that came up saying, Breitbart says this, all the other stuff leading up to that was just gone because they just ruined it by putting that on there, in my opinion. And of course, at the end of it, they have a Wayne speaking, and that definitely killed it for me anyway. And more like that lady in the wheelchair is a gun owner. You know what I'm saying? And she more likely is a member of the NRA. But that sounded so scripted too. But
I just think it seems a little, I don't know, too. I can't think of the word, but it's too easy to see through, in my opinion. I don't know. So, and like you said, with Wayne there, a lot of people may think it's fine, but I don't see it as fine for somebody to have that type of expense and everything. They even sent me a letter telling me to renew. And to be honest, I've never been a member. I've always been GOA. So they're wasting your money sending me letters trying to get me to renew something I never had to begin with. So I don't even know.
Here's a question for.
Too much money going in the wrong places. But
You're right. So, question for you guys: I don't know if none of you're not into reloading, are you, New York Outcast?
No, I just do wax slugs.
Okay, I'm just Two Gun Kitty asked. He's looking into starting to reload, and a friend of his has passed. A friend has passed away. And he has a chance to get a Dillon 550 and all the tools and dies for reloading. He wanted to know what a fair price would be to pay the widow of this person. So Jason said $300. I don't know.
I have no idea. Squib probably would have had better knowledge on that one.
Yeah, he would have. It's a shame Squib left.
Maybe look at what going used rate is if you can find one somewhere and offer something along those lines. So you're not taking advantage of her. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Patrick in the chat is into reloading. How much would it? How much should he pay the widow of a friend who died for a Dillon 550? And the tools and dies for reloading. What would you think? So I'm just throwing it out there to who's in the chat. I know Patrick's a reloader. I'm not sure if Rich White is, but
throw a suggestion. If he's really a friend, maybe you just throw the full price. The sentimental value is worth the difference.
Okay, Two Gun Kitty said new with one set of dies is $500 without all the other reloading equipment. Yeah, so Jason Stewart said $300. To me that's I don't know. Dillon's a good mate too. I'm the poor man's budget. I have what in the hell do you call it? Lee. Mine is. So. Oh, Rich White says I only reload magazines, not cartridges. Oh, okay. All right. Anybody got anything else you want to talk about? Patriot? No, he's disappeared on me too. But he's doing something with his daughter. So, all right. Midnight Range says it depends on how many extra dies are with it, plus other equipment like scales, lube, calibers, etc. Well, I don't know. I'm just going on what Two Gun Kitty said here in the chat. So maybe if you can get a list of what there is, we might, we can email it to a couple of people I know and find out for you, or ask around in another chat that you go into that somebody in there might know. So that's the best I can say. I wouldn't. I mean, I would throw out a figure like Jason did, around 300, but I don't know how much actual. I mean, because I got. I mean, right here. I mean, this is a set of dies for 45 ACP. On this Lee one, I can just drop it straight in and stuff. I mean, they cost about $45 for one set of dies. So you got to look at it that way too.
Yeah, you could total everything up and mark off a percentage of it, and obviously do it that way. Or again, if you really are trying to help out a friend's widow, and you were looking to buy one anyway, throw it. Yeah, if you were looking to get one anyway, but if you are just trying to do what you can, then obviously that's you might want to see what it comes up to. It took 25% off or something.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, people, I'm not doing a cut of the week this week because, to be honest with you, I did no research. It totally just slipped my mind. I only just remembered it just now. So I do apologize. I will have to make sure I remember to do it for next week. So.
Well, you did talk about sauerkraut, though.
What?
I said you did talk about sauerkraut, though.
Yes, I did. And I talked about eating raw ducks. So, but sauerkraut and Polish sausage sounds good. Even I like sauerkraut on hot dogs. I gotta buy some sauerkraut next time I go shopping. I gotta add that to my shopping list for next week.
Question for you, Rick.
Real quick. I was thinking to order my shopping online through Walmart and go there, let them curbside it to me. Save me going in and shopping. But then again, they don't have, what they either they have only a limit, they don't let you pick anything you want. It seems from the website I'm going to, there's only certain items they allow you to choose from, which is kind of depressing.
Well, I use the Kroger setup like that because I used to do, you can either do like the quick list where they bring it out to your car, or they have a Insta Shopper or whatever that does the delivery. Normally there's certain things, pretty much anything you can get. There was a while that you couldn't get alcohol delivered because obviously the driver's got to have that. They got to check your ID and stuff. But there is, since this stuff is all popped off, they do the limits, where you can only get two of certain items of the same item. I guess it is. I don't know if it's multiples, but for the same type of items. But they do have things that are listed now that are in store only, where you can't order toilet paper or whatever crazy thing that you want to get. But I've never used the Walmart. I have it, and you can use the app and all that stuff. I think the app is easier, maybe. List more things if you select your store or something. But I do the Kroger thing, and they, it's up and down with them.
Yeah, it might be restricted because they don't have them because of all the panic buying and shit.
Then limits because people will go in and buy one, and then hey, we'll just have them bring it out. There's ways of getting around limits and stuff, but there's a reason they put limits on them. People going in and buying 6 dozen eggs. Are you going to use that in a week?
Yeah. I still might do it. I was thinking of.
It is healthier.
Try it out. What I can't get, I can get down at the local store. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I could try it that way. I don't know. I'm just trying to save myself.
What's nice with the delivery that I use with Kroger? Kroger's just my local grocery.
Yeah.
But they'll actually, the person that's the delivery person, they're actually the one that shops. So they'll send me a text message. Okay, I'm here, and everything's going to be temperature controlled, all that, kind of default thing. And then from there, they'll say, hey, they're out of this. Is this okay? And they'll text back and forth. Well, since they're texting, I've done it for so long. I know the people. If I use it, I know a couple of the ladies that deliver and whatever, and it tells you who is doing it. And so if you know them and you talk to them, whatever, you can actually text them and say, hey, I need this, or I forgot to put this on the list, or I couldn't find it. And so you can actually talk to them and possibly get something that wasn't you couldn't find on the app or something.
Okay. All right. I gotta look. I mean, I don't think we have a Kroger's actual name Kroger, but I think Kroger owns some stores up around here. So I wonder if they do the same thing, but under a different name.
I think a lot of places, and the delivery service that I use sometimes is Insta Shopper. I think it's like their own. They have their own app and their own website and stuff. But I go through the Kroger thing because obviously I can just pick what I want from there, and then they just send it to them. So that there may be some other ones where you could just look up the delivery ones and see if they're local. Or, I'm not just focusing on delivery, obviously, where they pick it out and bring it out to your car is, that in itself is pretty cool because then you don't have to walk around. But
yeah, that's what I was thinking of avoiding. You know what I'm saying? Walking around the store. Well, not walking. I normally, a lot of times I'll have to, as I said, I use their electric cart when I go to Walmart because it's too big for me to walk around. And a lot of times I got to wait for one because they got more disabled people going in that Walmart
and
carts.
And that is something. Squib brought that up about where they're opening stores an hour early and stuff, or it's the first hour. Like Kroger, it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah.
That first hour is only for senior citizens or people with their immune system's messed up or whatever. Yeah. And so using that is important because it's still, you go in there and then there's jam packed with a whole bunch of old people running around. But
that's what I'm saying.
The same thing.
More like won't be any electric carts available because all the old people were disabled.
Well, it's funny because I did that this week. I went in on Wednesday, as soon as they opened or whatever, and they have their people sitting outside and they're washing carts down and doing all the disinfecting and stuff, which is interesting. Obviously this isn't something that's normally done or whatever, but it is.
I think people should take advantage of that, especially people that aren't already squared away in a sense. If they do a lot of those time periods, take the effort to get up and go. That's part of adapting to what we got to deal with now. If you want to be stubborn in your own ways, then you're going to run out of socks at some point. So
yeah, but what's scary, I think, is to go there during this early hours and it's all full of senior citizens. What happens if one or two of them are infected? They don't know it. Then the whole lot. Then
the mask come in.
People.
It's the whole thing. You're still supposed to have your distance and stuff. You walk in there, don't be crowded up, hugging up to line up for the toilet paper, get some space. But
that's the problem. I know I'm old and disabled and I got the electric cart and stuff, but I cannot stand waiting behind people who dither. They pick up this pack of hot dogs, put it down, pick up the next one, and they're reading something, I guess, or whatever. Just pick goddamn what you want before you go in there. If you want an Oscar Mayer hot dogs, pick up the fucking Oscar Mayer hot dogs and get out of my goddamn way.
You need to look for
100% agree.
Look for that attachment that goes on in the front of that, like one of those cow pushers, like on the old
Yeah.
trains, just use it to push them out of the way.
Yeah. I mean, they do it all the time to me. And I'll sit there and I'll have my elbow on the square driving handle. I have my face elbow resting on there, my face resting on my hand, and I'm just waiting. And they look at me. They go, "Oh, sorry." And then they walk. They move out of the way.
You need to hook up an air horn on there.
Yeah, yeah. I go around and the people come to be a lot of dead bodies laying in the aisles. Anyway, let me wind this up because we're just BSing now. We're not doing anything. So I want to say thank you to everybody who showed up. I really do appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you. And I will be back on Wednesday, hopefully. And can't see why not, but I'll be back on Wednesday with Shooting with Disabilities at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, the only time zone that matters. So, I'm losing it here. So I want to say thank you. Before I goodbye, you got any last shout outs or closing statements there in New York?
No, just be safe, everybody. And I didn't mean anything personal. Anybody out there, I was just giving my opinions of the bigger picture earlier. Take care. Thanks for joining us. All
right, appreciate it. How about you, Patriot?
I just want to thank everybody that's watching. I mean, Rick's a great guy, and everybody doing the conversation and the talking and all that stuff. It's great. Just spend some time with your family. You have to. You're stuck. But spend time and do something productive.
Now, do you have your daughter?
Yes, for this week. We're kind of switching off week on, week off now. So she spent a couple days at her mom's, but she's been here for about a week now. Yeah, so we're having fun, keeping her busy. Making there's a bunch of options of things to do. Look up audio books if you don't like those word things. Ray Bradbury. We've been listening to a couple of his old books he used to read. The Body by Jake. Check it out. Get healthy.
All right.
And stay positive. Smile a little bit.
That's it.
Don't be grumpy.
All right. I want to say thank you for everybody being here. Take care of yourself in this situation that we're in. And I'll hopefully see you all on Wednesday. If not, I'll see you next Saturday. So I want to say good afternoon to everybody. Goodbye, good night, or wherever you're at. Goodbye, Sabrina.
I was going to say that too. Bye, Sabrina.
And see you all later.